the taxation of selling a rental property can be unique in that not only are you realizing the capital gains of what you bought it for versus what you sold it for, but then there's also going to be beneath that, all the depreciation that was taken over the years is now going to be payable, assuming we don't do a 1031 exchange, through what is called depreciation recapture. Now, this is taxed on a federal level up to 25%. So in this situation, we're going to have the capital gains taxes on whatever the gain was, then the depreciation recapture, so whatever that amount was that was taken throughout the years, and then on top of that, we're going to have state taxes applied to all of that, and a net investment income tax for those folks that are in that higher income bracket level. And very often when there's the sale of a property, that alone is enough to bring up the income level to be exposed to that net investment income taxes. So that taxation structure really makes it very, very appealing for real estate investors that are selling a property to pursue a 1031 exchange. Now, a 1031 exchange started over 100 years ago, which was essentially the ability to trade properties without realizing taxes. Over time, it's expanded to allow you to sell a property, and through a very strict set of guidelines, you're able to sell your property and then reinvest in another property so long as you identify that property within 45 days and you close within 180 days. Now, there's certainly restrictions that, it has to be a rental property, can't be a vacation home or a primary residence, at least at the time of acquisition. And so, it's important to follow those steps, but the 1031 exchange is something that's very unique, certainly not available for, if you're selling a stock that's highly appreciated and you're like, well, I'm just gonna buy another stock and not pay taxes. Not the case, right? It's specifically with real estate that you're able to have this feature. Now, very often, folks that are selling a rental property, the reason they're selling is because, they've been dealing with the tenant, maybe they've had a taste of the liability exposure, and, even if they've formed a limited liability company and they've managed it perfectly, very often they're still gonna be named in the lawsuit, and they're the ones showing up and paying the attorney and all that. So for those reasons, people are like, okay, I've had enough of this, so I wanna sell and 1031 exchange, and then the question becomes, well, now what? Get into another property with similar headaches? And there's different options that you could certainly pursue, such as triple net properties, right? Be the sole owner of a property. And so that would certainly help from the liability standpoint to some degree, but you're still gonna have the concentration risk, meaning you have one tenant or a select number of tenants, and if you have a vacancy, you're near 100% vacancy or at 100% vacancy, right? And so for that reason, a solution that a lot of real estate investors are using is going to be what is called a Delaware Statutory Trust. And a Delaware Statutory Trust, or a DST, as it's commonly referred to, is going to be an ownership structure of a real estate property or portfolio that allows you to have fractional ownership in a way that is very unique, right? Because you can have there's syndications, private placement of real estate. There's a lot of different options that you can pursue with real estate, but the DST is unique in the fact that the IRS gave its nod of approval, allowing it to be satisfactory for a 1031 exchange. So it's the only mechanism that you're able to sell a property, right? Let's say a single family home you've had for a long time, you sell that property, you 1031 exchange into this DST, and the beauty of it is you're gonna have professional management, right? So it's completely managed, the business model is in place, and you're able to review it before heading into the DST. So you make sure that it's something that you're comfortable with, you like the cash flow picture, you like the yield, you like the diversification, the geography that it's in, and you're able to just be along for the ride, more or less. There's no, someone trips and falls in the parking lot. You're a passive investor that's, just has fractional ownership. So, from a liability standpoint, very, very mitigated. From a cash flow standpoint, it very often can improve your cash flow situation. And from a management standpoint, there's nothing you can do even if you wanted to. So it really is a perfect solution for that investor that's built equity through the years and they want to transition into a more cash flow efficient and really a passive opportunity with a DST. Now, another path that folks go is still going to be the 1032 exchange to a DST, but this step is a little bit unique in that you have the ability to go into what is called a 721 exchange, which at its fundamental level, let's say there's 4 properties, all of equal value, you have 3 and I have 1. We decide we want to join forces and form one entity, and as we do so, and so then I become a 25% owner, you become a 75% owner, and through that process, there is no taxation. So how it would work with a DST rolling into that process is going to be there's a DST that's earmarked for that 721 exchange, and that 721 is going to go into a REIT or real estate investment trust that is set up. Think of it as a stock for basically a real estate portfolio. So you're able to 1032 exchange, go into the DST, stay in the DST for a couple of years, and then roll in to the REIT. And so this can be a beautiful option for real estate investors that want diversification, want long-term staying power in a REIT, and just collecting those rent checks as time goes on. There's also going to be the opportunity for enhanced liquidity. So you have the opportunity to pull some chips off the table, if you will, and you can do that through a regular interval or as often as you see fit. A great solution for estate planning, because very often when there's let's say a single family home and there's 2 or 3 kids, maybe one wants to move into it, one wants to keep it as a rental, one wants to sell it and go their separate ways, and so it can create some discord with the heirs. Well, this option is going to be, it's obviously clearly outlined in whatever your wishes are. But in that situation where there's 2 or 3 kids, the shares will be split and they can all go their separate ways. They can stay in the REIT, collect the rental income if they so choose, or they could sell their respective shares and do their own thing without having to have any type of conflict, right? Because what one sibling does isn't going to affect the other. And so it's a great option for that estate planning minded person. It does still get what is called the step up in basis. So, a basis of real estate can be very low with a combination of buying it a long time ago, but then also all that depreciation that was taken, right? So it can be very painful to sell the property from a tax standpoint. Well, when there is a step up in basis event, then you have the ability to basically sell the property at that time and have no tax that would be recognized or realized. So it's a great solution. We've seen our clients utilize it more and more, and we're excited about the future of this industry.